So to summarize, what we have been doing is captured in two documents, Rupaji. One, we have created a illustration document in which we have so far the chapters that we have discussed: Adhikari Beda, then Atma Tattva Viveka. Both these we have created several illustrations which we have used as an aid to look at what all we have covered so far. In addition to that, now as we have gotten into Jagat Utpatti, that also we have captured, but not thoroughly, the specific topics as illustrations, but we have done a summary. So this is one kind of like a roadmap or a guide which has been through our journey so far. And then in addition to that, we have this wonderful summary of all the specific topics. So as you can see here, it is broken by day wise and topic wise. Lot of detailed notes done by our mainly Saravananji. This is also another guide that we have been using. So how we are conducting our discussion is, so there is a talk by Prabhuji that each one of us go through. And then either we use a set of questions on a particular topic. So for example, just to give you illustration, so we would pick these kinds of questions on Satya, Mithya, and Upadi. What is Satya? What is Asatya? What is Mithya? So each one would give their viewpoint based on the talk that they have gone through. So, and if there are any further questions to that, anybody can ask a question. So like that, there'll be a discussion that is going to be happening. So like that, initially, we've been discussing using all these questions. So all these can be found in the document. And nowadays, what we have been doing is, as I already mentioned, Saravananji's notes is what we are using as a guide. So over the last 2-3 sessions, 57 and 58 is where we are focused on in the Jagat Utpatti. So Jagat Utpatti is what is the world. In the Adhikari Beda, it is about who is eligible for Tattva Bodha. In the Atma Tattva Viveka, to develop the discriminatory jnana to identify Atma and Anatma. In the Jagat Utpatti, what is really world and what is the connection between the self and the world? What is the cause and what is the material for the world? These are the specific areas of focus in the Jagat Utpatti. So this is where we are as of now. Is there something that Shubhaji and Saravananji like to add to what has been said so far?
No. Perfect.
No, sir. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Rupaji, is there something that you would like to ask?
No, Vijay.
Okay. All right. Have you gone through all the videos of Prabhuji, Rupaji?
Yes, Vijay.
Okay. And have you gone through them in the day-wise order, or have you gone through them in the topic-wise order?
Initially, it was day-wise order only because we each of us were given 2 shlokas. So that is why, that was the reason it went so fast. And later, at the end, we were given only few talks, 1 or 2.
Okay.
So it is talk-wise only.
Okay. Okay. All right. Excellent. So then let us get into our today's discussion. In our last session, we went deeper into Panchikarana. And Panchikarana, there are 2 aspects to Panchikarana. One is Panchikarana shows how the 5 materials or the 5 essential materials come together to create the physical manifestation. So one aspect is to identify the tattva or the essence, the 5 essence being the space, the air, fire, water, and earth. Then there is a specific mention of in what proportion they all come together. So the essential quality is something that through our discriminatory power, very clearly we can come to realize how space, air, fire, water, earth, we can come to understand them because we have experienced these materials. And we can gain clarity about the essential nature of them. When it comes to the proportions in which they come together, so a very clear illustration has been given about how gross body is formed from the 5 tamasic elements. And then there's a proportion, how it splits into 4 parts, and 1/2, how it becomes part of the other element. So this part of the discussion is something that is not, there is no experiment, or there is no perceivable, let's say, mechanism, either a kriya or a prakriya, through which we can come to gain our own inner perception about it at this stage. So then the question becomes, before we jump into our today's topic, the question becomes, so how do you relate to this? How do you relate to the this mathematical information that's been given in Tattva Bodha? So the information about the 5 essential elements is something that you can, through discriminatory power, you can come to say, yeah, that it exists, and this is the essential nature of it. It's all very clear. Through logical application of the mind, you can come to understand. But my question now to all of you is, on what basis would you say, okay, so then the mathematics has been given here? Can you see the mathematics information? So on what basis can you say that this mathematical information can be understood? There is no kriya prakriya. So then is this only by faith? What is your comment?
Okay, yeah, let me try.
Yeah.
So the one approach is we have there is a top-down approach where we say that it starts with one Brahman, right? From the Brahman, Brahman's power of Maya, and that Maya into 3 sattva, 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, and from the 3 into the 5 tattvas, pancha tattvas, and again till all this, it is all in the Shukshma level, right? The example I've seen is the how to build something. You first conceive an idea, and then you come up with a plan in the mind, and then you start putting it in a paper, and then you start building it. Right? I can trace it like that. For the stula stuff, all that jagat, what we see, right? It cannot just like that show up.
Right.
Very similar to how we do it in our world today. We can trace back that inspiration would have come from this game, right? That something to show up like this, which is what we call stula, and there needs to be a very subtle plan. That's a Shukshma level, right? And that's how the Panchabhutas are there in the Shukshma level, and for them to be felt as a Stula level, you need a mix, because the Sukshma level, you cannot feel it, like how you cannot pinpoint where is mind, right? So similarly, those Panchabhutas, we cannot feel it in the Sukshma level. That's why when it has to become a Stula level, they come together with the qualities to show up. And when they come together, it's a very logical grouping. I see that each Panchabhuta retains its core nature with the 50%, while the other 4 contribute to the rest, 1/4, right? So that like when they come together, it becomes a whole one. So that's how I understood that, which made very logical sense to me. And like and also we can see, right, in each of the Stula Panchabhutas, there is influence of the other, the shape, or the space, the air, right? So that's one way we can understand it.
Excellent. So you can understand that there is another element, another tattva, another essence. So 2 parts. The first part is it really divided? Is it like, like how you say in the chemistry lab, take this element, now take this element, now take this element. Now in this proportion, you mix them. Now you see you got this new element. So like that, is it possible to create as an experiment? Is it something that you can create as an experiment? It is not. So this Panchikarana is not a experiment that you can conduct in a chemistry lab.
Yeah, definitely. These are all beyond the human perception, or like within this. It's beyond this body, what this body can, because this body is an outcome of that.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So therefore, the question clearly is, it is combination is understood. That can be clearly realized.
Yeah.
Like fire has shape.
Yep.
So it is clearly realized. But the proportion. So here there is a very clear illustration of the proportion. 50% is that essence, and another 50% is 1/4 of the other 4 elements, which is 12.5 into 4. You're given a wonderful math. Yeah. So how can you say that?
Okay. Yeah. So the way I understood is everything as we see has a very clear logical flow. Nothing is random. That much I can realize. The more and more time we spend, there is nothing random.
Yeah.
There is you can trace back and see the clearly, and that's where, like, to me it makes logical sense, because that in each of the bhuta, to ensure that like the core one retains its part, and no other component like no other
shadows or
overpowers in any way. Like each one of them are present at the same level, so that like you don't feel the other bhuta in a bigger way, right? There is nothing else dominating. And like
a beautiful way of looking at it.
That's how my intellect accepted it. Otherwise, it would have fought. So like, how do I understand this?
That's a beautiful way. That there is this essence has to be there as a majority, so that that nature is felt, and the other natures, one cannot dominate the other, so it has to be in equal proportion. Okay, that's an excellent way of looking at it. Anything more you would like to add, Sarananji?
So I think this is the one part where I will stop here.
Yeah.
The next part.
Yeah, we'll go to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
From
leave
that Maya
to-
part, we will start
Yeah,
later after
yeah.
that.
Shubhaji, is there something that you would like to say in this matter?
No, I'm still trying to understand everything, sir. So I have nothing to add right now.
No issues.
Yeah, maybe a picture if you have, Vijayji, there it may help easily.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll bring up a picture because there are some very detailed pictures of how the 24 have come together. Also, there's a picture of how exactly these proportions have come together. So I will share them and add them into the illustrations, Shubhaji.
Yes, sir. Actually, you have always come up with pictures which make us easier for us to understand.
Yeah.
That would help.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
as of now,
Yeah.
what is the understanding you have received so far about Jagat? Before you jump to answer, just a minute. Hariom Priyaji.
Hariom everyone.
Hariom.
Hariom.
So Priyaji maybe one.
Joined.
So sorry, Priyaji.
Hariom Rupaji, I said. I guess she's new member to the group.
Good that you only introduced.
Hariom.
Rupaji, Priyaji joins us from Coimbatore. She's been part of our AVSC study circle right from beginning.
Okay, Vijay.
And Priyaji, Rupaji joins us from Udupi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she's also part of our Gita study circle, and she felt this early morning is better. So she therefore is decided to join our group here.
Okay, Vijayji. And I would like to inform also, like most of us have recovered, like okay with our health issues also. So
Excellent.
my daughter will also be going to college from tomorrow.
Very
Actually, since 15 days, it was a stress-filled this thing for us, especially for me handling alone. And thank you, Vijayji, for your continuous support for the whole almost like 20 days, like sending me few positive these things and making me understanding. I don't know, whenever I something, if I send, there will be a reply from you either indirectly or directly, direct message either in the group or this thing. Probably you have come as a Sadguru for me. Thank you for that.
It's all Guru's place, Amma. Thank you. Glad that they are helping you.
Yeah, later they are helping, and as when I discussed regarding my how to select my course and all, as you said, the things will solve the issues. So wait for the time, it will heal up. And another thing, what you the finally, like, you don't expect for the fruit, it will come as it is. Like what happened is I was choosing and I made up my mind to join for the course, and immediately I got a call from my friend that some project is also there. You go and join for the course. Okay, then regarding choosing as a teacher, as a career, there was a main priority to go as a Hindi teacher rather than Sanskrit, which my mind was not accepting because I'm not that much good in Hindi. So I took a back, and yeah, it's a help me, and it's going on. So might be the slow pace, but things are getting so yeah, this is helping me.
Excellent. Excellent. Very nice. But see, the one who is really making the change is you. Tattva Bodha is there, message is there, Sadhguru's guidance is there. However, the one who has to imbibe that and to put it to use in the life is you.
Probably, but what happens, Vijayji, see, the friends who are around us and who knows us personally can only guide us. See, if I go and tell my parents or somebody, I want to join for that course, they tell you are now 44, why you want to do, how long you study, why you want to study, why you go for a job, that things will be there. don't strain yourself, don't work too much. What is their problem for money? It's not for the problem for the money. It's how we entertain our mind and keep our mind calm, so that the whole house, whole environment, I mean, how the things goes positive, these things. That is the thing. So if in the positive way, if I want to keep my mind calm and this thing, I thought, so who works out that? Who polishes that? Is only the guru or one who knows us personally well, right? And there is no need for you to sit for 1.5 hours and listen to me and guide me. What is the necessity for you to guide me when you have a lot of work with you? So what is the necessity for you to guide me? That is, might be you as a friend, as you know, personally from childhood, or as a guru, you have polished my mind and this thing. Though today I am late to the class and I couldn't get up in the morning, so I thought, let me attend. And so this thing, and morning also, like the whole night I couldn't sleep, because I had given my daughter's sample for RT-PCR, how she'll be going for the college. And you know, the child sitting 15 days at home and not doing, others are going to the college. We can understand their, what is there going in their mind, you know.
Yeah.
The tensions and all. Yeah, of course. I mean, feel when things happens towards us, you know, the happiness, how we get more, till that moment, 10 minutes back, I was so this thing, and morning I prayed to God. Within 6:45 I get up, and 7 I could join. And it's all God's grace. That's it.
Definitely. Once when you make up your mind, nothing can stop you. It's you and your willpower that flows, that grace flows as that. Wonderful, Priyaji. Glad to have you back and listen to your voice. So we are talking about Jagat Utpatti, and we are specifically talking about in the Jagat Utpatti, there is a mention of how different essential elements have come together, and in what proportion they have come together. So that is the topic that we just were discussing when you joined.
Okay.
And Shubhaji was about to give her response to what she has understood so far in the Jagat Utpatti. So we'll resume from there.
Yes. Yeah.
Shubhaji?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the three gunas, which is the sattva, rajas, tamas, which are all only when they are all in equilibrium. Yeah, the sattva guna is the knowing guna, rajas is the movement, and tamas is the inertia. When all are in equilibrium, that is when we are in the I don't know how to put it. Okay. From the above three gunas, the 5 elements got created. It is the Akasha, Vayu.
So Shubhaji, one question there.
Yeah.
So now within you, can you recognize these 3 gunas in terms of your mind, in terms of your own functioning in the world? Through that, can you recognize sattva, rajas, and tamas? And if so, what examples would you like to give?
Yeah. Okay. Sattva is when I am very sensitive to things around it, around me, what is going on. That is when I feel my sattva guna is there. Rajas is when I it's rajas is movement, right? So
yeah.
Does the rajas also means when I'm angry, that part?
Not necessarily angry. See, the quality of knowing, okay, I know this, I came to know about this, I'm aware of this now. All this knowingness is coming out of the sattva quality.
Yeah.
So to know something in its essential nature,
Mhm.
mind has to be calm. So therefore, usually we connect sattva as a sattvic quality, as a peaceful quality.
Yes.
See, if the mind is perturbed,
Mhm.
which can happen because of the rajo, because the movement is where the mind is not able to calmly observe, depending upon the quality of the mind. So therefore, usually rajo, when it is not controlled by the sattvic quality,
Mhm.
when rajo takes over, it is only about movement.
Okay, I can say that probably before the going through all these Tattva Bodha classes, I had more of rajasic qualities of getting angry, all that. Now, when situations are very, even if they are bad, I have the sattvic guna of knowing it and understanding that what has to happen has happened. Let's move on and look at the things which has to happen.
Excellent. So even a response,
Yeah.
well thought out response, see, movement can happen only because of the rajasic.
Okay.
So rajasic doesn't necessarily mean, again here, in our mind, we may be thinking sattvic is good, rajasic is bad, tamasic is even worse.
No. Yeah.
So we may be having such thinking.
Yes, I was actually having that thoughts before I could get into the details of it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Sarvanji. Yeah.
I've heard it somewhere that even that varnas, like you need, first of all, you need all the three qualities to be able to complete, and the direct descendant is actually the teachers, the ones who chant. They have the more of the sattvic one, and the kings and the traders who need to keep the system running have the more of the rajasic qualities, and the actual labor staff who have to do the work have the more the tamasic. So all the things have to also work together to be complete, and so like there is no one thing better than the other. You will have all the three together. How you keep it together, that's where that's the final thing, right? To understand how to put them together and keep it together.
Because we are talking about world is nothing but objects. So what is the essential nature of change that is happening in the object? What contributes to that? Inertia means something will continue to be in that condition only. Tamasic means what? It likes to stay in that condition only. It is a rajas which brings the movement, which brings, in other words, the change. What change? The change is by the knowing principle. Because any change, any action, please see in your life, any action by you is always preceded by a thought. You may or may not be aware of it, but is always preceded by a thought. Because for something to manifest in the sthula, first it has to manifest in the sukshma as a thought. So actually, whatever that is created at least twice. Once in your mind as a blueprint, as a dream object, as a plan, then it translates into the real so-called sthula, or what we generally refer as a real, when it is not really real, but that is what, because we can see it, feel it through our five senses. So in order for that to appear, the knowingness is important, and to make it is important. It is not enough to think of the idli. Having a blueprint of the idli, making the idli, then inertia, the principle is the elements that you have used there to make the idli, they would have continued to be those elements unless, this Rajasic action of or the Rajoguna, which is the action guna, brought them together and changed its nature. Rice, you had to pound it, mix it, put in water, ferment it, then it became something else. So it is these three which is creating the world of objects, the world that we see out there, which is what is being referred as the Maya. So how Maya is happening is what is being explained through the three qualities. These three qualities are not being judged as good or bad. So usually we have referred to Rajasic as Ravana Guna, egocentric. When there is a lot of tendency towards action without right clarity, that is what is Rajasic, heavy in Rajasic. Reaction is Rajasic. At the same time, response is also Rajasic. Are you able to make the distinction, Shubhaji?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please continue.
So does it mean the example I gave for Satvik and Rajasic, my understanding is correct then? Of course, not in the sense, yeah.
Any knowingness,
Knowingness.
any situation where, okay, I know that knowingness is coming out of the Sattvic principle. Action, what is action? Can you, in your understanding, what is action for you? What is movement?
Even prana is right now moving.
Moment, yeah.
in the body.
Anything, yeah.
Or otherwise walking, talking.
Fundamentally, what is moving for you is in your screen called mind, sensations are appearing and disappearing.
Thinking.
That is what you refer as movement.
Vijayji, thinking is also Rajoguna.
Because it is moving, no? The process of thinking is what? Some image is appearing in the mind,
Yes.
disappearing, something else is appearing. So you are keeping track of that movement, keeping track of that change rather, and that is what you refer as movement. You, the unchanging, is noticing the change. So that change is what you call as movement.
No, where I had the doubt is, mind is not constant. It keeps like thoughts are not constant. Like it keeps coming. Constantly it's coming.
Running.
So yeah, it's running. So what is happening is Sattvic Guna, the knowing that the mind is changing, thoughts are changing all the time. So that also becomes a Rajoguna. That is what I was thinking.
The quality of change is Rajo.
Quality of change.
See.
Quality of change is Rajoguna.
Yeah.
But I'm referring to Sattvika, sir. So knowing that the thoughts are also changing, that becomes the Sattvika, right? Knowing anything.
The knowing quality is Sattva. Correct.
That's it. Okay.
Hari Om Satyaji.
Hari Om Satyaji.
Satyaji, can you hear us?
Are you able to hear me, Vijayji?
Now we are able to hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my connection may be on and off. I'm not at home. So
okay.
Suddenly it struck me that I'm missing on something recently. So
we have not moved much so that you can.
we are heavily tamasic.
You are very tamasic, you're saying?
So we have all the three. That like we spend so much time deep into it, Sattva part, and then like
Okay.
we slowly move Rajasic.
Okay.
And we try to stay in the same place, Tamasic.
For an outsider, we seem like a snail movement.
No, no, no. I think every place, when the contemplation becomes more, that clarity is something which will emerge, rather than listening to something, that inner contemplation when it happens and what comes out, that is more important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Satyaji, what we are right now focusing on is Jagat Utpatti. And in that specifically, we are now talking about how the three gunas, three essential nature, they come together, in what proportion they come together. And right now, one question is what we are taking, each one, is sharing their view. So in this talk, there are two aspects. One is these three essential elements, these three essential natures with the Panchabhutas come together in various proportions to make various manifest the Mahabhutas that is in the physical world.
Okay.
So that part can be discriminated and understood. Okay, this is the essential nature of this particular element. I can see clearly when it is said fire, water, earth. So how the Panchabhutas are there. So that quality through that discriminatory power, it can be understood.
Yeah.
But there is also a mention of a particular proportion in which these qualities come together to make various gross elements.
Okay.
So for example, 50% of that original element and another 50% as a 1/4 of the other elements is what makes one of the Panchamahabhuta in the manifest world, is how it is described.
Okay.
And with the combination of the Sattva, Tamo and Rajo Guna, the three qualities. So it's the combination of these 5 elements in particular proportions and these 3 gunas in a mixture is what is this cocktail is all about. The cocktail called the world, the world of the objects.
Yeah.
So right now the question that we are focusing on is, okay, so through discrimination, we can realize the existence of these elements. And through discrimination, we can also realize the existence of the quality. How to come to clarity about the mathematics of it. Okay. So mathematics is just a matter of belief that, okay, Shankaracharya ji has said, so I'll also repeat. Or is there a way by which, we can connect to it in a lot more personal and intuitive way? Is why this question has been asked. And before you joined, Saravanan gave a beautiful insight. He said, for anything like that, okay, Saravanan, why don't you please repeat?
Yeah. So what we see is like for all the existence, there is a very clear logical aspect, and there is nothing random. We see, and the more and more we learn, we see a very clear plan in place, and going by that, the way I see it is like each of these Panchabhutas are like in the purest form. They are more subtle, which we cannot perceive with directly, and to be able to come to the Stula form, right? So they come together in a way that where each of the Panchabhutas can retain its original character by contributing 50% of its character to character, right? And while the other ones, they have to again, when they are coming together, no other thing can dominate, so that the main Panchabhuta bhuta can be realized, right? So that is how I got convinced that like the other 4 have to be in exact proportion, so that like none of the other 4 dominates, and like only the main one dominates to provide its character. to retain its character. Right, and that's how I was convinced that like this is a very right way to learn of how each of the Panchabhutas are like seen the way it is now.
Yeah, it's nice, Sharananji. I think, Vijayji, I just have this feeling that the tamasic, rajasic, or the sattvic qualities, they are not intrinsic to any person or to any body, mind, intellect. So I feel it is dynamic. We can't say that this person is sattvic or this mind is totally sattvic unless we come to a stage where and even for a Jivan Mukta or a Gnani, they are beyond all these three gunas. It is not that they are sattvic. So there are instances where it is shown that Ramana Maharshi is angry or shouted. All these things. They are all these three are the qualities which we are just naming, but it is not the intrinsic nature. As we have studied in Tattva Bodha, I feel intrinsic nature is that Sat Chit Ananda, and all these three are the gross behavior patterns that any mind shows. So one may be tamasic at a particular in a particular instance, or a particular situation may make him tamasic, or in some other situation he behaves rajasic or sattvic. So we can't totally brand a person, a mind, as sattvic. And it is not necessary. I mean, this is my understanding. I don't think it is necessary that the person, any Gnani is sattvic. Not necessarily. See, what is inside and outside? I mean, again, there is no difference that way. But the gross level, whatever qualities or behavioral patterns that we exhibit, they can be divided in a day. It can be, 1/3 of this, 1/3 of that, and 1/3 of that. So even a saint can't totally be sattvic. So going beyond these three gunas, though for the external, transactional world, we may mention it because this is the body is gross, the world also is gross. We are mentioning these, or we are showing these qualities. I mean, any person shows these qualities, but what you are actually, though these qualities are exhibited, if we are constantly in that Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, and unlimitedness, that is where our real intrinsic nature is. So whether these three gunas combined with the Panchabhutas, yes, anything is a chemical reaction of, this plus this is equal to this. When heated to a particular temperature, or when temperature becoming constant, this is the reaction that you get. But again, all this is at the gross level. So what really we are, that is the tattva, the intrinsic nature of any person. And that is where
Satyaji, we lost your voice.
Oh, okay. Vijay, I have a comment on that.
Yeah.
I feel like
sorry, I
all
think I
three
lost
gunas
the
are
connection a bit.
Yeah. Satyaji, can you please continue?
Yeah, I think I just lost connection and again I got it. Yeah, 1 second.
Last 30 seconds maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if what I said is right.
Yeah.
This is just how I feel. Yes, Sharananji.
Yeah, I was about to respond to your comment. I feel like the three gunas are there all the time in each in the Vyavaharika plane. It is just that like one of them is dominating with respect to the other two. I was just like, as we were learning this, I was just looking at my own current state. And if I take the current state, right now the sattvic is dominating, where like the learning aspect, thinking, the contemplation part is going on, while the rajasic is still there in terms of my own thought movements, prana, and like inside the body, even like there are a lot of things, systems moving in, right? And I feel there's a tamasic one also, which is like making me sit, not move, and all three are still needed to do what I'm doing right now. So I was just like, is that a right approach to even see?
Yeah, this would be a great way, I feel,
I think
to connect to the idea. Yeah, go ahead, Satyaji.
no, I feel, yeah, at this moment, maybe this 1 hour, all of us are sattvic. There's no other go. I think, yeah, again, it is a combination of, different proportions, where this 1 hour, yes. But the moment you deviate
Yeah.
from what is happening, the other part,
Yeah.
the mind has so many divisions. So
Yeah.
the other division dominates, and that
Yeah.
division may be tamasic or it may be rajasic as well. So
Which
this
is
one,
what
yes,
we are trying to guide, right?
Yes.
To from this learning,
Yes.
how to keep the rajasic and tamasic in control, while like have the sattvic part always in a dominating state.
yeah.
The other two are needed.
I think, Basu, yes, they are very, very needed, very much needed. Otherwise, a sattvic person maybe run over all the time. So it may not be really practical for any person to be totally sattvic. And I think, this satsanga or the meditation or these classes like these, they try to balance the three gunas. So you totally, if you are sattvic, no, that is not right transactionally. And totally, if it is rajasic, it is not right. And totally tamasic is not right. So that balance of how much of what, which proportion of what we need to take. Generally, we say people, this person is so balanced. I think the balance is not the pH level or anything else. It is this, rajasic, tamasic, or sattvic gunas that are in balance, where you display whatever is required at that moment of time. And again, you come back to your, it's not come back. Anyway, you're operating from there, but at least you are able to display it at the right, in the right proportions. Otherwise,
In what you are saying,
Yeah.
you seem to indicate that sattva means peaceful nature, rajas means irritable nature,
Okay.
tamas means more like a no action nature, or a I don't care attitude nature. That is the way in which you're using sattva, rajas, and tamas in what you are saying. Whereas here in Tattva Bodha, there is no qualitative remark about which is peaceful, which is irritable, like that. What it is saying is sattva means the knowingness, the knowing capacity of the self. See, Maya is the power of the self. In the power of the self, there is a knowing nature, there is a movement nature, there is an inertial nature. It is purely saying a certain aspect as I am going to give this a name called sattva. What aspect? The knowing. I am knowing. I understood. That knowingness, it's a little abstract concept. It cannot be very clearly defined. What is knowing? Okay, I know. What is that? Can you show? Is it step 1, step 2, step 3? Is it a place that you can say, okay, I've reached this place? That is what is called as knowing. There's an aspect of knowingness. I come to know. Okay, I have realized. I know. Where is that knowingness happening? Within the self. So that aspect of the self, the ability to know, the power of the knowing, is sattva guna. Then the power of the movement, which is again power of the self only. So the self is both a being and a non-being, in the sense that both a changing and a unchanging. The changing nature of the self is called as Maya, and in the Maya domain, there is movement part that is being referred as Rajasic. It is not about Rajasic is irritable. Rajasic means the movement aspect. Even for us to now say, to sit in the satsanga like the example given by Saravananji, we cannot just sit and close our eyes. We are talking, we are contemplating. There's a movement happening here. There's an exchange happening here. So this exchange, this movement of sounds and whatever gestures, these are all movement only. This is Rajasic. It is neither, what is the impact of this? It can cause irritation, it can cause clarity. So what it causes is next. But this is movement. Movement is life. Life is all about movement. In the Maya, it's all about constant movement. And then there is inertial part, which is the tamasic, which is, okay, right now, in order to continue to have this, sthira, we have to be seated in one place, focused, and not getting distracted by too many things. So certain inertia, certain tamasic aspect is needed. Again, it is not judging whether this is a good or a bad quality, or a right or a wrong quality. There is no judgment at all about the quality. It is saying, this is what is Maya domain. It's a combination of 5 elements, which have these 3 characters. And it is a combination of this, that is what is making this entire world of objects happen. The world of objects happen in a certain way. How? These 5 plus these 3 and the self, which is the constant presence. Because these 5 and the 3 in various combination, which is the 24. So if you look at it, it is going to create 24. And then including the self, it is 25. This is the essence of the Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga refers the totality as 25. The Brahman as unchanging, if at all you count that. And these 24, this 24 is constantly modifying. This 24 is in the Maya domain, constantly changing domain. So there is no judgment. Is this making sense to Satya?
Yes, Vijayji. Yeah, I totally understand. In fact, whether it is tamasic, see, inertia, if everything is necessary. I mean,
Yes.
It is not that, that is good, this is bad.
Yes.
Inertia is necessary. And, when you are in a constant state of movement, some things are not possible at all, or contemplation may not be possible, or, so everything is necessary, and all this movement, or, something which is changing and unchanging, again is in the presence of the self.
Yeah.
So Maya itself, again, is consciousness itself, because how can you see Maya without a consciousness?
Yeah.
So that is the reason these 3 gunas represent consciousness again. So I feel when you are talking about Panchabhutas or the 3 gunas or the 3 waking state, the 3 states, all these things again point back to, how do you know this? It is because of consciousness, the self.
Excellent. Correct. So they are not separate from one another.
Yeah.
They're not separate. World is not separate from consciousness. So that is the totality. So you are not separate from me. That is a totality. In its essential application, it is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. In its essential application, it is like all the fingers of my body. if I become an individual, how I consider all the 5 fingers as my part of my body, this entire existence is one. There is no separation. The separation is an illusion in the individual mind. And where that illusion doesn't exist, that mind is called as a Jnani's mind. But that is not a separate being. That is a universal being. So it's either universal consciousness that operates, or it's an individual consciousness that operates. As an individual consciousness, there is bondage, because individually everything is split. Where there is no split, split is happening artificially in that mind. Therefore, that mind suffers. So therefore, this jnana, that you are truly nothing but the individual, not an individual, but a universal consciousness. And this entire happening is a upadhi on yourself. So realize that and be as a sakshi, and let then the magic of the Maya continue. There is no stopping of the Maya here. We're not talking about the stopping of the Maya. Realizing that you are independent of the Maya, and it is because of your presence that the Maya is happening. It is in you that the Maya is.
Yeah, Vijayji. In fact, when you were saying this, I remember on Shivratri, Prabhuji was saying for a jnani, I mean, for him, he is not speaking. I mean, his consciousness is speaking to the consciousness in front of him. I mean, whoever is speaking, it doesn't matter. There is no judgment. There is no mind that is coming into picture. So his consciousness is speaking to the other consciousness. But in case of an ajnani, it becomes like the mind is speaking to the mind. So the mind with all its, again, the judgments, the vasanas, impressions, everything, it is speaking to the, because that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is not being seen because we are limited. Our eyes are seeing. It's not the consciousness seeing. I mean, at least that is how we are, we feel it. So when we look at the other person, we are limited to the extent of their body level.
Exactly.
So, or the mind level. So we are either speaking to the body or to that mind or to their intellect. But we are not connecting to the consciousness, which is the self, or which is the same in every person. So,
yeah, well said. That is why there is a body-based transaction, or whatever the mind level transaction that happens. Whereas in the presence of a jnani, even there the mind is being used. See, otherwise to transact in the world.
Yeah, it is like the mind being used as in the case of that snake in the neck, on the neck of Shiva. Yeah. The mind or the ego is being used as per their what they want. Yeah. The mind is not using them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because in that moment, Prabhuji also needs to be aware who is talking to. Is it a male body or a female body? Based on that, what is the kind of conditioning? Teacher conditioning or boss conditioning of the mind? Like that, right things have to be said. But fundamental reality is, it is consciousness only. There is no more, I'm talking to a small baby, or I'm talking to a very intellectual scientist. Awareness that, scientist is the conditioning of the mind helps to see how to uncondition.
Yes, Vijayji. Totally great understanding.
And we can see one thing from this topic, at least, that we all are one. The same source, same guna, same panchabhutas formed. It's just that the individual creates the differentiator and artificially.
I think, Guruji, we can practice this. In fact, like all the other practices, meditation or something we are doing, this can be a practice where when you are looking at someone, that oneness feeling, other than your family. Okay, AVSC is a family again. So other than your family, when you're looking at someone, that go inside, and you are speaking from inside and you are looking at them from inside. I think that practice will reduce all the differences that are there in the world. I mean, again, this is transactional, but then that slowly it develops a feeling of that oneness, where we can then sink into our pure consciousness every moment. So as we are looking at people, because it is the mind, right, which is we feel is
Taking up all this.
anti to consciousness. So that can be trained to look into the person rather than the person.
Actually, that does happen. I have contemplated on this topic a lot. When you see, when you are with the family, someone, when within the family we feel one, when compared to the neighbor is a different family. Okay, but the moment we start going beyond, let's say, a state, okay, so we are from the same state, like becomes like you get the feeling of oneness. And then if you just go one step above, when people from different states are together at a country level, so, oh yeah, we are all Indians, and all the difference gone with respect to at the country level, right? And that you can see how that oneness evolves slowly, right? When the boundaries keep, like, basically the boundaries then are in the mind. Right? And when you feel that oneness, you also see that, like, you are much more relaxed. And when the other is not there, like, you are relaxed, and which basically means that, like, your anxieties, your problems come with the other, and the other is the boundary is drawn by the mind, where you are operating from, right? So
I think that
yeah.
Dvaita creates all the problems.
Saravanan ji, I would like to add for your points, like you're telling about this oneness, right? I too have the same feeling. So it's a boundary of our mind and feelings, thoughts to how much we extend ourselves. So more and more we expand our thoughts, the oneness feeling goes on increasing. Then we feel the joyfulness or the mind calmness more. So as and more we concentrate only on ourselves, or individuality takes more priority, right? So problem around us makes problems creates more for us. That is what I feel.
Jnana, finally.
Yeah. So the oneness, as you told you, right, step by step, when we go beyond that, so it really makes us like everything we takes into these things, and yeah, that's it. So that is where the oneness, like we move towards inner engineering, we do more things, so we will try to understand. And again, it is the combination or chemical reaction of these gunas. So it is definitely, if mine and yours are both are the same thing, right? See, you are somewhere in part of Bangalore, I am in some part of Tamil Nadu, and we are like 1 hour we are sitting together. So what makes us is the oneness, the combination or the proportion of the gunas, the 3 gunas or the panchabhutas, what we have is the same for oneness. So like that, so if we try to, yeah, probably the other person might be having the other ratio. So as and when we, yeah, let me adjust to that kind, surely it brings the joyness within us. So only thing is, again, it's a balancing, as Satyaji told, how we control our senses, and these things makes to have the feeling of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
There are
It
two,
finally
two
goes
points I
back
would
to
like
this.
to add. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, Sarvanji. No, you please come.
Yeah, yeah, just one point, last point I'll make. It finally goes back to this ignorance leading to I am, and the individuality that draws those boundaries thicker and stronger, and starts seeing like, okay, I need to protect myself. Then I am different from the other. I am unique from the other. That's what creates the problem actually, and that's again back to ajnana, the not knowing who you are. Right, so the oneness is basically broken by this oneness of like I alone are important, I am important first. Right, and like not knowing that like you are nobody without the other. It's all with all you become you become one. Even to be able to see yourself, right, when you need the rest of the scene to see yourself. If there is no one else, then you also don't exist.
Excellent.
Sometimes what happens, in the same house, for example, the son will be, he's self-concentrated. He'll be always thinking of himself or something like that. Or sometimes the father might be helping others. He has the attitude of calling the relatives to his home, helping others like that. So the son does not may not like this. He tells why you are calling others, why you are so. I sometimes find what is this? Both of us are, I mean, the two persons are in the same house. The father has the habit of helping others. He has the feeling of oneness. Why this son has got this? See, he has brought up in the same house since some 25 or 30 years. Okay, why he is so mean-minded? So is it we tell that wherever whichever the environment he has brought up, that kind of attitude also, that kind of quality we imbibe in our life. So sometimes I feel this, is it because of the Purva Janma Vasanas, what he has of this only, or the expansion of mind is not happened to him, probably that is the reason what I feel. So Vijayji?
Yeah, so see, there are 2 points here. One is, let's look at Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam from the standpoint of Tattva Bodha. But before that, there's a wonderful statement coming to my mind, which Dr. B.M. Megde usually says. In illness, it begins with I. The illness spelling is I. I-L-L, illness. In illness, I. Wellness begins with V, W-E. So the answer to wellness is V. The answer to illness is I. So this is a wonderful statement anyway. But here, let's look at it a little deeply, what Tattva Bodha is saying. In fact, at the end of the Shivratri day Jagarana, Prabhuji also spoke about it. Where is really the world for you? Where is really Saravananji for Priyaji? Where is Saravananji? Oh, there's a place called Bangalore, and somewhere in that corner he's sitting, and right now through a computer is coming to me. But where is he truly for you, Priyaji, right now?
He's the thinking process is going in the same way where we are discussing, contemplating on Tattva Bodha.
That is
Might
okay.
be
That
it
is
is not the place. It is not the place.
So no, listen to my question. Where is he right now for you? Where is he right now for you?
He's in our thoughts.
He's in. I don't feel him that he is much far a distance.
Not at all. He's not at all far. He's actually in your mind as a sensation.
Yes.
Right now, what is Saravanan for you? Saravanan is nothing but some image that you're seeing in your computer, which is appearing in your mind.
Yes.
Computer itself is a appearance in the mind as an image. Saravanan voice is a appearance of a sensation in the mind. Your body itself is an appearance of a sensation in your mind. So where is Saravanan right now for you?
He's in our mind.
In your mind. You don't know about other mind. All your life, you have only known your mind.
Yes.
So where is Saravanan for you right now?
He's in my mind.
In your mind. As what? As purely sensation. Now what you are doing right now, that picture that you see, you are labeling it as Saravanan. But if you are a little microscopic in nature, if you start walking around with a microscope, you would see, if let's say, and you are a robot, okay, you have nothing else, you only recognize shapes. Let's say that's the only capability you have. Then the only way you recognize this object as Saravanan is if the object is the same, exact same. But if you notice, if you're microscopic and if you notice, if you're that robot, this object is constantly changing. The cells, everything is changing constantly. You cannot really say this subject and this subject are the same.
Yes.
Human mind has a great capability to generalize. That is the only way you are recognizing this as Saravanan. See that actually that shape that you're seeing, let's say at 6:30 when the session started, to now, if you're microscopic and if you're a robot and if you are not this consciousness, as a microscope and as a robot, if you are trying to program it to recognize this shape as Saravanan, impossible.
Correct.
Because that shape is constantly changing. So therefore, Saravanan is who for you is actually a memory. You have a excellent ability to generalize shapes. Oh, this shape and this shape, though if you're little microscopic, you notice the change, you overlook the change, and you are able to recognize this shape and this shape as Saravanan from memory.
Yes.
Otherwise, if you're a robot, this shape is different, this shape is different. Every moment's shape appearing in front of you is a different shape. There is no way to recognize Saravanan. There is no way to hear Saravanan. There is no way to hear, smell the world. Because sensation coming into you as a robot every moment is different.
True.
But you have an infinite capacity to put them together and to stitch them together and to give them a boundary and say, oh, this is Saravanan. Oh, this is Saravanan's voice. Oh, this is how idli smells. So at any given moment, at this moment, in your mind, it's a play of sensations and your memory working together. Your memory is what you call as your chitta, and the sensation that is coming in is your manas. It's your manas and your chitta which gets combined. So that you add your own identity, self-identity called ahankara, who you are at this point of time. Oh, I am separate from Saravanan. Saravanan is in Bangalore. He is such and such. Oh, I am such and such. That identity, where is that identity again? Is also nothing but your memory in the mind. It's nothing but a memory. It's an identity. It's a memory. As the true being, your identity less. There is no identity that can be fixed to consciousness. But now in the mind, you've taken identity. So the manas, the chitta, the identity that is the ego comes together, they get mixed up. It seems like a confusing thing. Then the buddhi part of your mind comes and says, oh, no, don't worry, don't be confused. Otherwise, it's a mixture of confusing pictures, right? Don't be confused. Decision, it gives a decision. Oh, that is Saravanan. What you're seeing is Saravanan's face. Oh, that is Saravanan's voice. Oh, the word he is speaking now means this. So tell me one thing, Priyaji. Right now, who is giving you the sound right now? Who's making up all the, who's telling all these sentences?
You are telling, but my mind, my buddhi is telling that this is, yeah, that is recognizing that it is Vijay's voice.
Excellent. Now, who is giving you the meaning? Who's bringing clarity to you?
Again, it's my buddhi.
So fundamentally, please see, all that I am doing is sounds.
Mm.
At this point of time, if instead of Priya, who understands English, if there was, let's say, Rashmi, who knows only Tamil, whatever I am making is nothing but sound.
Mm.
Or let's replace Rashmi with a baby Priya. A baby Priya, 6 months old Priya, 6 months old baby, simply sounds blah 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 blah. So this blah, you are making up the meaning in your mind.
Yes.
So tell me then, where is world really?
It's within us.
How many of you are there? Right now, can you say that anybody else is besides you, anybody else is outside of your mind?
No, whoever is in, regarding whom I am thinking, there will be in my world now, right now.
That's all, no? That's all you really know, right? Can
Yes.
you know anything beyond your mind?
No.
So for you, outside of your mind is a non-existence. You don't know. You cannot
Yes.
answer that.
Yes.
So the only thing you can be 100% sure, certain is you, your mind.
Mm.
So where is world truly?
It's within us.
Again, us means who?
It's within me.
That's all. That's all the only clarity you can have, isn't it?
Yes.
So the objects that are coming into the mind, it could be a face. You are recognizing it as a face.
Mm.
The object that is the sensation that is coming, you're recognizing it as a sound. You're labeling it. This is sound of Saravananji talking. This is smell of idli.
Mm.
So let's just quickly look at this illustration and then we'll go back. So what is really world? Like this, various sensations at every moment are appearing and disappearing in your mind. You have the ability to label them because every impression is stored. You have the ability to recollect and label them. You say, oh, what I'm seeing is Saravanan. Oh, what I'm smelling is rose. What I'm tasting is laddu. What is it truly? At this moment, it is nothing but a sensation in your mind. So everything begins from Brahman, ends in Brahman means everything is nothing but sensation appearing and disappearing. And who is the watcher? Brahman. Only Brahman is aware of appearance and disappearance. It begins with Brahman, it ends with Brahman. Everything. There is really nothing beyond you. You getting a small identity is just a wrong identity. In that mind, I am Priya is a memory. A part of the memory you have got connected and said, I am this memory, and the other parts of the memory are separate from me. Can you even separate like that?
Come again, sir.
A part of the memory
Yeah.
is me,
Oh.
and there are other parts of the memory which you're separating and saying there is this person, that person, this person, that object, this object, this object. Is it even possible to separate like that?
No.
At this moment, the sensations and you, can they be separated?
No.
So the whole problem is when I take a limited part of the memory, one
Yes.
part of the memory, and say, this is who I am, and I apply various kinds of memory-based thinking to the sensations that are coming and try to play in the world. All my problem in life is because of this identity that I get connected to and how I color the sensations that are coming in my mind. In this moment, if I completely erase all my memory, then the being in front of me is a fresh being. It's a fresh sensation. I have no foregone judgments about what is coming. Like a baby, I am just seeing, I am just hearing. That's why notice a baby. Baby seems as if like it is doing an open eye meditation. Look at the face of a small baby. It is just silently noticing. Whereas a slightly grown up with mind developed, as soon as the sensation comes, you can see various changes in the face based on the judgments that are passing in the mind. Smell comes. Oh, nasty smell. Oh my God. Yuck. Is there yuck in that sensation that is coming? Yuck is not written in the sensation that is coming. It's a pure sensation. In the mind, there's a judgment about that sensation. Oh, this is the smell of, let's say, garbage. Garbage is bad for health, whatever may be the conditioning. That makes yuck. How did that yuck thought come into that mind? Somewhere that baby has seen others behave that way. Yuck. Either that way from the current scenery, what it is watching, or from the past memory. But it is nothing but playing on the memory.
That is how we have identified that.
You have identified that sensation as, and then you're also taking your own identity into that another. So it's a mixture of two things. You're identifying the object and the sensation that is coming. You also have a self-identity. Who I am, I am a boss. How can they tell me, you idiot? How can my own employee call me as an idiot? I am a boss. So the boss identity conflicts with the the identification of whatever the sensation that is coming and has created a conflict. Because the boss identity is now punctured. Why? Because I have taken the identity called a boss. If the identity is not limited like that, then that is a pure sensation. There is no labeling. So when you say I am in meditation, this part of the mind is what you have dismantled and kept aside and said, I'll simply watch whatever is coming. I'll simply watch, non-judgmental. So pain and pleasures of life is only because we apply this self-identity and identification of the object, mix them together with the memory that is there, the story, and then we try to act in the world, which is truly not there at all. That Saravanan who spoke a few moments ago is no more there at all. What is there? That consciousness is there. As who? As awareness in you. That's all you are aware of. So, Tattva Bodhas Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is, it begins and ends in Brahman. So that's why all that there is Brahman only. And in the Brahman, the ever-changing world is appearing. So there is no way for you to separate out various objects in your mind. What is a jiva? Is a object, no?
Yes.
And your identity getting mixed up with this object is, you call I am a jiva, which is a wrong perception. What is Jagat? Jagat is nothing but world. And how do you know of the world? Appearance and disappearance of thoughts. Where? In your mind. So where is world? Within you. It is not separate from you. Like in your dream, all the characters are created. This is a waking dream. And that's why Ishvara is the cause and the material of the world. You, as the awareness, from you only, or the world is emerging and going. Emerging and going. Your waking state is the play. Your dream state is where it is all in the illusory, or a kind of like a what you call as a non-real, or it was this hallucination kind of a way. And your deep sleep is where it has again gone back to the source. So this is a constant play. And the only unchanging is you. And in you, the world as Maya, the world as mind and Maya and world are no different.
Yes,
What is Maya? That which is constantly changing. What is world? That which is constantly changing. What is Maya? That which is constantly changing. All of this is what you are noticing as mind. So that's why Sri Ramana Maharshi says, what is mind? If you are not aware of the change, there is no mind for you. How can you be aware of the mind? Only when change is happening. That is what you call as mind. In your deep sleep, there is no mind.
Yes.
So there is no world, you conclude. So mind and the world and the Maya are all the same.
Yes.
So now what sensation do you want to put a boundary and say this is mine and this is not mine? Is from where you are creating your problems of life.
So that is where we have to sharpen our buddhi to understand the expand the boundary of our identity.
Because the boundary is a artificial boundary that you have held on to.
Sometimes the memory would have been stored in as a good one, or the again it's a good and bad. It's the boundary what how I have identified. But how I have accepted it, it might have stored like that.
See, now you are let's say you are a teacher. You go to your classroom and in front of your students you are a teacher. Let's say you meet your childhood friend. Suddenly you turn into a a prankish girl. You suddenly have taken a new identity.
Yes.
Where is the teacher now? He is a memory.
Yeah.
For now, you children, be quiet. Don't shout. Why are you so prankish? But with your friend, you're so prankish.
True.
So you constantly are playing with your identities. So when you play, like you're, when we were all children, we used to play, mock-up plays. We would make up things, and we would keep one stone, another grass, and we will make a home, and we'll bring some stick, and we'll call it a cow. We'll make up so many things.
Correct.
We make and destroy. No problem at all. In that game, there is no problem. Oh, somebody may come and crying, oh, they broke. But the very moment Amma gives a chocolate, forgotten, totally forgotten. It is no more a stagnant memory.
Yes.
Now we have forgotten that playfulness, that's all. We become so seriously involved in this game that we have forgotten that playfulness. This is nothing but a grown-ups version of that children game.
Okay. True.
I mean, not really a grown-up version. This is the only version that's been going on forever.
Yeah. The judgment, what you told, that is also true, Vijayji. See, everything, if we go on taking as serious these things, the small one also, so there will be no space for us to think or broaden our vision to identify the things. So as and when you said, so it's a game to play with that, and again when the fresh thoughts comes, so forget the one and take up the new challenge. Yes.
What part of the game you don't like? Like a small children when they play, no, I don't like this. I want to bring that. Okay, bring. No, who is stopping them? They bring another stone. They call, now this is my car. And they make, somebody says, I have a bigger car. He brings a bigger stone. It's okay. No problem with that. See Upadhi, how Upadhi is playing there. Stone has become a car. Stone has become a cow. And it's a live game, for them. It's a so real for them at that point. They're playing it so faithfully. There is no, if you go and touch that, no, don't touch. This is my baby, they say during the play. They're little children, especially if you give them baby dolls, they feed them, they clothe them, they sleep, make them to sleep. It is so real.
And this is clear, Vijayji. Thanks for that. And see, when we are coming to the knowing principle, Satvik, what we'll be discussing, right? So
Yeah.
we also say that it is a Satvika Ahara. So you are telling Shubhaji, right? Sorry, Satyaji, explaining the thing, like it is not the Satvika, it is not the calmed nature or the
No, I didn't say that.
nature or Rajoguna.
No, I didn't say that. What I said is, we tend to associate Sattva as peacefulness.
Peacefulness. So, peacefulness. So when we take that concept to the Satvika Ahar, what we tell, so is there any relation, or it is totally without the spice, without any spicy, this thing, it's the thing? Because according to Tattvapada, Sattva Guna is knowing principle. That's it.
Correct.
Okay. So when I tell that it is Satvika Ahar, again, it is something I'm knowing that it is without any spicy thing is the Satvika Ahar. Okay.
So essentially, that food which induces movement is Rajo Ahara. So for example, let's say you take green chili and rub it. Let's say you have open wound and you rub it. Can you sit quietly and watch? then in a way, you're
burning
already
side.
beyond that. But the general nature is, it'll make you to scream, get up, go and get water, and then to put something,
yeah. Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
some foods have that quality. But on the same open wound, if let's say you take a little bit of cucumber and you keep, it may not cause that irritation for you to
Heal
move.
it. Mm.
Okay. So sattvic food makes your mind calm. Fundamentally, see, all of this is related to what your mind is doing at any point of time. See, now to sit and realize the subtle nature of Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha is a very subtle teaching. The sharpness of the intellect has to cut what is truth and what is not truth. It cannot be cut physically. We cannot, this picture makes it so simple. But is this the reality? No, not at all. Where is this yellow color? If a child comes and says, if I show the same picture to a little child, they will say, okay, where is this yellow color? Can I see? Can I see? Oh, am I appearing in the blue? Where is the blue? So it's a subtleness of the intellect which has to cut. So therefore, any illustration, right? Whether it's a visual illustration or a auditory illustration, which is nothing but the speech, is always limiting. Is always limiting.
Yes.
So to go beyond the words, that's why great masters always keep on telling us, don't look at my finger, look at what I'm pointing at. Look at the moon. I'm pointing at the moon. Why are you stuck at my finger? Why are you stuck with my words and illustrations? Look at the pointing. So the pointing can happen only when the mind is quiet, no? I can look at all this only if my mind is not worried about what will happen tomorrow, what I did yesterday, what's the next step to take in life, how to progress in life, okay, where my food is going to come from, what they said. If my mind is constantly bubbling up and down with these kinds of thoughts, where is the space for contemplation? So in that essence, in that respect, Rajoguna food induces movement. So therefore, movement causes my mind to get disturbed if I am not the person who has realized how to manage the mind. There is a wonderful situation in a movie called Bhumiga Bandha Bhagavanta in Kannada. There is a guru and some shishyas are following him. Whatever the guru does, the shishyas also do blindly. Guru is invited to one banana plantation by a person who is his bhakta and then says, please have bananas. I would be so happy you are in my plantation. So Guru eats two and the shishyas see that and they think they have also been invited. They go and ransack. They eat. Okay. Guru doesn't say anything. Next, they go to one place where there is a person who is making batti, this alcohol. Okay. So Guru drinks tons of alcohol and he is quiet and stable. The shishyas also drink. They cannot even stand. So again, they are blindly following the Guru. Next brings the major thing. There is one smithy tools maker and he's eating one hot iron rod. Guru takes a piece of it and he chews it and eats it. Now all the shishyas are behind. Now he says, come, you've been following me. No, come, do it. So like that, sometimes it all is just a matter of what we blindly just accept and start doing. So to bring that peace in the mind, to be able to realize, see, for example, right now there is a war happening. Let's say there is a war happening at the border. If you ask the soldier to sit quietly and peacefully and close his eyes in meditation, what use is that? Right now, he has to be induced into action. Movement has to be brought now. Rajas. Right now, there is no problem. I need somebody to guard the border. Unnecessarily, they should not be taking up the gun and shooting at, there's a small movement, shoot. It turned out to be a leaf blowing in the wind. They just shot because they're so upset. So you see, at any given moment, the three qualities are not your limitations. When you realize that these are the three qualities of the mind, you know how to mix and match them. You are beyond. Meaning what? It is like colors of, when you're drawing a picture, you take red color, brown color, orange color, you mix them and then you, this is perfect for this picture that I'm doing. You know how to mix and match. You are a painter. So sattva, rajas, tamas are part of your palette. You take them, you mix them in any manner, depending upon the situation and the circumstances.
Can we put it like this? The Satvika Ahar is the one which taken as a food and as an energy tool to sharpen to sharpen myself, to calm the thoughts, so that I have the capability to mix and match the whatever the sattva, raja, tamo guna according to the situation, to handle it in a successful way.
Certainly, certainly. It calms the mind so that you realize your true nature,
Yes.
that you're beyond the three. Only in that realization can all this game be played effortlessly. Only when you know you're the painter and you have the paintbrush and the canvas and the colors, you paint effortlessly. But if you feel, I am the canvas, or I am the paintbrush, or I am the color, you have no ability to create.
No, it's so amazing that the Brahma has given everything in our hand. The world, decision capacity, knowing principle, everything, Maya, Kara, Buddhi. So you play the thing. So when we understand, we feel it's so great thing. So if you don't understand this, we feel let down. What is this? Why I'm here?
See, that is why in many suktas, now you hear, where is Brahma? Brahma is in my mind. Where is Vishnu? In my pada. Like that, you're invoking the powers of that devatas within your so-called body. Devatas are not some fictional entity sitting somewhere else.
Yes.
They're all powers of the consciousness only.
Understood, Vijay.
Rupaji, we did not hear you at all. Is all this conversation bringing clarity, or are there anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, I can understand what you people are contemplating on. I don't have anything to add. Actually, I don't speak much.
That is okay, no problem. See, the thing is, when you summarize your understanding in your own way, that helps us to gain a new insight, as well as it brings clarity in your mind in how you are putting it together. See, at the end, after all this conversation, Priyaji said, this is the way I am looking at it. So when you hear that, for her also now, that idea becomes clearer, gets connected. And for us also, oh, this is another way of looking at it. So please express the way you feel is appropriate.
No, Vijayji, I'll try to do it next time.
Definitely. No problem. Yeah, please, take your time. But it would be really nice to start listening to you. It is not how long we speak, but what we speak. And each one's way of expressing is like Brahman is the totality. And each sound is part of the totality. There is no better or lesser sound. Each together is a symphony in its own way, in this given space and time. Each is a valuable insight from the consciousness only. So please, would be more than happy to listen to you, but please take your time.
Okay, Vijay. Actually, sorry if I have offended you by saying that I was wondering you people are still in Tattvavada.
No, not at all. Where is the offending? Like I said, for somebody who notices from outside, we are moving at a snail's pace. Absolutely fine. What is there? It is just a way of looking at it.
But it is really good because you spend so much time on each thing, going into the depth.
Yeah. See, some may like to cover the breadth first and then do depth later. Somehow this is how our groups is like a combination of various characters in our group, has created this mixture. Is this the right mixture? I don't know. Is this the wrong mixture? I don't know. But this is the mixture. And this is how it is going.
Really good.
Yeah.
I want to just comment on this memory part.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that the memory has pros and cons, right? In the sense, like it is not. In the sense, it is not. It doesn't have the right and wrong thing. How we need to use it, like I feel like one needs to know, right? Basically, memory is to be so, like, it's very nice to see how we've been given that limited memory, not that like forever memory where like, oh my god, I did all those things that bad, right? You will be just buried in the past, right? So it's, you have been given enough of the past so that like it doesn't bury you, and at the same time, like the way to I understand the way to use it is like when to remember something. If fire burns, the intrinsic nature of fire is burning is something, it's not going to change ever. And that is something I can retain it forever. But anything else in the world, okay, Vijayji, yesterday was very different. Today is very different. I cannot say that like, oh, that person, he did it like this to me. And holding on to it every day. Now I'm using that. I'm able to use that in my work. Like when I see people, I'm slowly trying to not judge them based on what they did it 5 years back or 2 years back or yesterday. I say, you know what, like 5 years back, they were whatever, for whatever reasons. And they have been with me, and like now they are very different. And like, let me look at them fresh. And like without any judgment, let me take it. So I feel that learning is helping me in terms of how to use this memory. Otherwise, as I said, like my baggage was like getting heavier and heavier with all those past, right? And I think the memory needs to be used in the right way. Not it cannot be applied to the mithya. The jagat is mithya. All the people in that are mithya. They are changing. Therefore, to experience with the limited part, I can identify as so and so. But that so and so, as you said, microscopically has changed a lot. Actually, has changed a lot, not microscopically. It's just that like we grossly identify as like, oh, this is the individual, but no. So that's one part I wanted to comment on the memory and how I am trying to use it.
Very nice. wonderful practical application of this essential
Yeah.
understanding.
I
Yeah.
want to give it to Priyaji as well. It's not only for my office, for my team. I am using it with my kids, wife, everybody. In the sense, like everyone's like very different from what they are, and like thinking, like, why is he like this yesterday? Yesterday it was him. Today is going to be very different. And if we can approach our kids in that way, I think we will. I am peaceful basically the moment I start approaching it that way.
That mind and body that we interacted with a moment ago is no more there. So in one sense, that's why Ramana Maharshi always says, every moment is both a new world and death of a previous world. Every moment. Please see the immensity of this. If every moment can be lived as, this is a moment when the whole world has died and the whole new world has come, it's with that freshness that you can look at. There is really nothing that is old, that is same. So the fantastic part of the game is the one who constantly notices this change and can blend with this is who you call as a realized person or a gnani. A gnani has figured out that he can blend easily, effortlessly, without any kind of a disturbance being caused within him. That's all the game is.
Yeah.
Very nice, Saravananji. All right, so before we conclude, anything else, anybody? Okay.
Okay.
We'll end our today's session with the prayers. Saravananji.
Right speaking. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead me from untruth to truth, darkness to light, impermanence to permanence. Self is the whole. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that is complete. This is complete. When completeness is removed from completeness, what remains is complete. When completeness is added to completeness, totality remains complete. Om, peace, peace, peace. Who am I? ನಾನೆಂಬುದು ನಾನಲ್ಲ, ಇದೇಹ ಮನಬುದ್ಧಿ ನಾನಲ್ಲ, ಸಚಿದಾನಂದಾತ್ಮ ಶಿವನಾನು ನಾನೇ, ಶಿವೋಹಂ ಶಿವೋಹಂ ಶಿವೋಹಂ. I am not the body, mind, intellect. I am the pure consciousness, Shiva Swarupi. I am true self is liberation. Atma Darshanam, Brahma Darshanam, Brahma Darshanam, Satya Darshanam. Recognition of self is recognition of the whole. Recognition of the whole is the truth. May all be free from suffering. Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarkamiva Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triyambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarkamiva Bandhanat मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनात् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। We worship the three-eyed one who is fragrant and who nourishes all. Like the fruit falls off from the bondage of the stem, may we be liberated from death, from mortality. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy, healthy, and peaceful. Hari Om.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Hari Om.
Thank you all. Thank you, Vijayji.
One small thing, sorry. Let me start.